Hey there, it's Ashlee Klevens coming from Rx Ashlee. You are listening to the Rx Buzz podcast from the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Here's the thing. You're busy. You're a professional. Maybe you're a pharmacist, and you know you're capable of doing more, doing much more, and living a more organized, less stressful, purposeful, and freedom-driven life. Let's talk, let's share, and let's grow together as an industry, as healthcare providers, and as a better unified community. It may seem like some of these things don't easily fit together. After all, what do career coaching, marketing strategy, networking, and pharmacy have in common? Welcome to the RX Buzz. Your host is a pharmacist, a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, and a proven motivational career coach, Ashlee Klevens Hayes. This is the RX Buzz podcast, a collaboration between Rx Ashlee and the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Pharmacy Podcast Network. This is the host and founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Todd Uri, and I'm excited today because we're bringing you a brand new show. If you haven't been able to tell by the title so far, but what's really special for me is the individual that I found on Instagram. Someone who really isn't tied into Instagram like I should be, and I need to take lessons from all of you, including our new host of the RX Buzz, Ashlee Klevens Hayes. Welcome to your own show, the RX Buzz. I am so excited to have you as part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Introduce yourself to our 70,000 plus listeners.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Todd. I just got sweaty palms right when you said that number.
No pressure.
Thanks
no
for
pressure.
having me. I know, right? So yeah, I'm Ashlee, and I am the new Pharmacy Podcast Network host. I'm really excited to be here. Honestly, I feel like when can we get started? Let's do this.
Absolutely. I was so taken back by the quality of your posts, the quality of your blogs, the fact that you're so down to earth, and the fact that you're a dog lover, because I'm all about dogs. I'm about my daughters and my dogs. And it makes me think of the old verklempt Saturday Night Live episode with Mike Myers when he did the coffee talk, and he'd talk like in an accent. He'd be like, hey, this is coffee talk. We're going to be talking about our daughters and our dogs. And I'm like, that's me. So when I started reading your profile, I started to follow you on Instagram. I started to read some of your blogs. It's just so fresh. And it's things that our pharmacist brothers and sisters need to be exposed to. So it's the whole reason that I'm excited that you're not only joining the network, but you're launching your own podcast. And with that, I just want you to tell the listeners about Ashlee. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
That's a loaded question. First of all, thank you for bringing up my dogs and my daughter. So we have that in common, dogs and daughter. I have 2 rescue dogs and a daughter. So we are really busy over here. But yeah, so I've been a pharmacist for just over 5 years now, but I've been in pharmacy my whole life. Literally, I took my first steps in a pharmacy. My grandfather was a pharmacy owner in downtown Los Angeles, and my mom was his pharmacy manager. And then through that vehicle, my dad met my mom, and my dad's a pharmacist, and my dad met my mom through my grandfather's pharmacies. So needless to say, I have been in pharmacy my whole life. I have seen all corners, all different shapes, flavors, sizes of pharmacy, pharmacists, traditional roles, non-traditional roles, you name it. I've been exposed to it. And I've had a very, very fortunate upbringing of being really exposed to a variety of different healthcare settings. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, you actually call yourself a 3rd-generation pharmacist. So take me back that lineage a little bit.
My grandfather passed away before I was born. So one of the only things that connects me to him is we are 2 things. We're both USC grads. And then also he was a FIDEX and I'm a FIDEX. So I feel really authentically and uniquely connected to my grandfather. Gosh, it gets me kind of choked up just thinking about it because I never had the opportunity to meet him in person because he passed away just before I was born. So there's that. And then my dad Also a USC grad, the University of Southern California on the West Coast, the real USC, just for the record. I'm also a graduate from there, and he was really my mentor, everything to me growing up. He owned pharmacies when I was born, actually sold them when I was born, and then did consulting for, I think, the first 10 years of my life. And he was essentially a stay-at-home dad. So, and then right when I went into middle school, high school, he jumped back in the scene, and he showed me indirectly and directly how powerful the role of the pharmacist can be. And so quite organically and easily, I transitioned into obviously going into pharmacy school. And pharmacy school was pretty natural, again, the natural step for me, but I always knew I wanted to be a pharmacist. I just never knew what specific type of pharmacist or what pharmacy looked like for me. And then at my second year of pharmacy school, my dad was a chief pharmacy officer for an academic medical center in Southern California. And unfortunately, when I was a second year student, he very suddenly passed away. So I had to take the second year off, go back into my third year with just a lot of life experience under my belt at that time. And then that's really where I took a step back and said, what do I want to make my career? What kind of legacy do I want to create for myself and for my family? And I have really, really big shoes to fill with my grandfather's legacy and my dad's legacy. So I'm really connected to the profession, both directly because I am a pharmacist, but also because I feel like every time I go to a meeting, every time I go to a conference, every time I go to alumni associations, I feel it in my blood and my DNA that I belong here. But that's not to say that that's the only reason why I stay. So that's essentially what's led me to creating my new business, my new company, my new mission, amongst many other things, different experiences.
That's a great inroad, because I want to let the audience know, I want to let our listeners know, rxashlee.com. If you're driving, absolutely don't go there. Wait till you get to your office or home, but check out rxashlee.com. I'm just inspired by the foundation that you're laying down, that the Pharmacy Podcast Network is going to take full advantage of, and the type of content that you're putting out there, as well as the self challenges that you're placing on your own shoulders to really make a difference. But then that's rolling out into your readers, and that's rolling out into your listeners now on the RX Buzz, which is Ashlee's podcast, to kind of exemplify and enhance everything that you're doing under the umbrella of what is RX Ashlee. And we're honored and excited to be part of the bigger picture that's happening. But you're you're a speaker at conferences, and you're a coach, and you're kind of a thought leader, and you're trying to shake up the status quo. And those things are exciting, but they're also positioning listeners and participants as saying, but what's it really all mean? So take us through the vision of what is RX Ashlee. Tell us a little bit about the non-for-profit status and how that folds into it. And just tell us a little bit about the business.
Sure. So first of all, when you contacted me, I was like, Todd, why do you want me to be a part of Pharmacy Podcast?
Because I see things.
It was a nice reach out. I was very surprised. Had no intentions on reaching a platform like this. But when we started talking, and what I see my vision and through the business and through my philosophies and just from what I've experienced, I took a step back, and I just really, first of all, want to thank you for giving me a platform. And it's not for me. I'm just kind of the vehicle to a platform.
Absolutely.
So what I want to do is, while incorporating the philosophies, excuse me, in the business that I've grown, is essentially just empower pharmacists to really do whatever they want to do. Whatever they want to do. And that looks and feels and smells and touches, it looks different to everyone, but providing enough accountability, confidence, vulnerability, connection with the audience, with the group, with the pharmacist or whoever is listening, that I'm not just saying this just to say it, but anything that someone wants to do is very achievable. It's just a matter of commitment and how much they're willing to do and how much energy they're willing to put forth towards their lifelong dreams. And that looks different to everyone. So I don't really like to say that I coach on non-traditional pharmacy roles, but I mean, that's essentially what ends up happening is pharmacists come to me and they're like, I have this dream. I want to do this and this and this. And again, that looks different to everyone. So what I do in my business and in my philosophies is I'm their business partner. I'm their strategist. I'm their accountability buddy. I'm their partner in crime. I'm their number one fan. And that's what's been working for the business. And I'll tell you, it's life-changing for me because I get to feel the energy of the client doing the things that they're most excited about. And it's life-changing and it's powerful for the client too, because they are getting the confidence that they can genuinely do whatever they want to do. So that looks different to everyone. Some people just call me and they're like, I'm burned out. I need help. And so what we do is we take a step back and we strategize what their day-to-day work looks like. We say, what can we say yes to? What can we say no to? Different approaches to meetings. There's a whole gamut of different, I think, different approaches. But ultimately what it comes down to is I want the pharmacist to genuinely feel like whatever they want to accomplish, new innovating ideas, pioneering ideas, let's do it. Let's do it together and let's make pharmacy awesome. That's what I want to do.
I really get excited because the philosophies that you are exploring and writing about on your blog is exactly what I've been talking about to other members of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, including one of your blogs that was published in June called The Specific Reason Why You Need to Launch a Side Business, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. People are like turned off by the word side hustle. So I was like, okay, I don't really care what you call it, a passion project, a side biz, whatever. You got to do something different.
And by the way, the reason, and we all probably have our opinions, so I want to hear yours, Ashlee, but the reason I believe every practicing pharmacist needs to have a side business, a side hustle, or quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, is because it leads to other things that are going to help you in your primary career and possibly entering you into something that you never thought would become your primary career, which could replace your primary career. So, and I'm not saying that that's the end goal, because for myself, I've been doing the Pharmacy Podcast now for nearly 10 years as my side hustle. And I like that word because it's exactly what I do. I'm hustling all the time, traveling all over the place, and really trying to raise up and support the profession of pharmacy through the publication. That's exactly what's taken place. However, it's in my heart, and everybody has asked me this, that eventually someday, this is all I'll do. Like I'll turn my media and my publication company into something even greater that we can infiltrate into state association and national association and pharmacy students and build scholarship funding and build little micro hubs for people to start their own pharmacies and all of these other things of all this subject matter expert that I have collected now for 10 years, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And it's so exciting to see someone that thinks that way, but you're doing it differently than the way I think. And that's what excites me, because I like the number one thing about the Pharmacy Podcast Network that excites me is being able to get fresh ideas in place. And your career coaching, the way that you feel about the side business opportunities to really not only perfect your craft, but really take a passion project and turn it into something that actually can make you some money, which there's nothing wrong with that either. And then your blog on the perseverance principle, all of these things is incredibly special. I do want to take just a pause and say that the RX Buzz was a podcast that Ashlee thought about and came up with that means something more to her than just the podcast itself. And that is in the title of itself. Your dad was known as Buzzy. So just give a little insert about your dad. We all know he was a pharmacist, but he obviously had a personality that's really become a big part of you?
Yeah. Todd, you didn't tell me we're going to be talking about this, so I'm not going to lie. I might get a little choked up.
Well, just like coffee talk, she gets a little verklempt, and then she'll say things like, talk amongst yourselves. And she like wipes her nose, and then she's like, go ahead. And she goes, subject.
Exactly. So, I appreciate you allowing me to talk about my dad. It's been 8 years since my dad, just over 8 years that my dad's passed away. And obviously a lot's happened between the absolute minute I lost my dad and to today. I got married, got a big girl job, had a baby, moved across the country 5 times. But my dad how do I put it? He was like my person. And I alluded to it before that when I was born, he sold his businesses and raised us kids, and my mom went back to work. And so I recognize, especially now that I have a family, how unique and how powerful that can be. How he decided to do something that he wanted to do and no one else gave him permission. He just said, we're going to downsize our house. We're going to rent a house. We're going to buy cheaper cars. We're not going to go on fancy vacations. I just want to be a good dad. And I will say, honestly, I hope he's listening to this podcast, and I hope he's listening to our recording, because I am very fortunate that I had a fantastic role model and who just so happened to be my dad. Now, that's not to say he was a perfect person, not to say that we had a perfect relationship ever or nothing. It's just, I knew that he was a champion of mine, and he believed in me and he supported me. And honestly, through his mentorship, through his pushing me to be the best, not only female or not only the best pharmacist I can be, or not even just the best mom, friend, but just the best Ashlee. I truly feel like I'm so fortunate that I've had him in my corner. And I will be the first to say that when my dad passed away, I struggled. It was tough. My world was rocked. And I've taken that experience and I've really just tried to make it into as much positive experience as possible. And I think launching my business and, saying yes to the PPN and saying yes to certain speaking engagements, that's just him pushing me to do bigger and stronger and be a better influence for others. So I'm very fortunate that I've had that, and I recognize how special that is. And I'm really hard on my husband. I'm like, you got to be a good dad. and my husband's a good dad. So I am blessed with good people around me, good men around me.
That is very special. Very thankful that you would share that with us and with the network. And right off the bat, episode 1, just to tell everybody about yourself. That's really what I want from this show. As a producer and someone who tries to stay behind the screen, because I'm really trying to get away from the interview side so I can do more supporting of you, who's the true star of these shows. Okay,
that's not true. And when you talked to me, I said, I don't know, Todd, you're the boss. Just tell me what to do.
So that's a good question. So why would you launch a podcast, and why would you work with the Pharmacy Podcast Network?
Good question. A podcast to me is just another avenue of a platform where I can incorporate people, interview people, to show pharmacists, to show others outside of even pharmacy, what is achievable? What can someone achieve in their life beyond their crazy expectations, beyond their own dreams? And that's why I want to pull in people, pharmacists, healthcare professionals and beyond, who are doing really unique, motivational, cool, inspiring things. And I just want to show pharmacists that, honestly, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that if you put your energy, you put time, and you commit to something that, and I said this, and I'm going to say it again, that it's achievable. You can do whatever. And I want to show pharmacists that they can do this. And this was just another avenue, another opportunity where, again, I wasn't expecting this, but it's just been a really beautiful segue to having another platform for some of the philosophies I'm trying to coach on.
There's so much negativity in the world. There's so much negativity in healthcare and healthcare policy trickle down into pharmacy. There's, the Twitter handles the angriest pharmacist, who is just hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's sarcastic, but there's lots of negativity.
Sure.
There's always room for humor. And I happen to have a sarcastic personality, and I like that. But I think it's time for more positive energy and more love and more sharing and more helping each other and rising up, because the pharmacy profession has done a crappy job, to be frank, up until maybe about 10 years ago, in endorsing themselves and making sure that they had a seat at the table, and making sure that, we're releasing a brand new podcast called Polititalk Rx, which is all about healthcare policy, and Dr. Scott Chelson from NSU is going to be leading it. And so, there's much going on in the network. There's much going on in our industry. There's changes in healthcare policy. There's changes in so much of the governance of payment and PBMs. And with that comes frustration. With that comes sometimes negativity. So the Rx Ashlee platform and the Rx Buzz is going to be a fresh, fun, vibrant, exciting. You're going to, and what's really exciting me.
Modern. Let's just say modern too.
But you've told me about some of these guests that you're going to bring in, and I don't want to give any of those secrets away, because I want our audience to be excited, but you have some tremendous ideas about content, and podcasting is very specific. It's an audio file. It's time for audio. So if you're working out, if you're walking, if you're jogging, if you're driving, if you're doing things that you should be using your ears to learn, that's what this podcast is all about. It's to reach out to you. It's to embrace you where you are, but it's also to link you up with others. Because if you are standing alone by yourself doing something, that results in what we all know as selfishness. And if you don't realize every single person that's listening to this podcast right this very second has something to offer the network, and has something to offer other pharmacists, and has something to offer patients and people who need you. You are needed. So when you're listening to this show, you're listening to the RX Buzz with Ashlee, and we're so excited about Ashlee and what you're going to be bringing to really get us all excited and get us, revved up and charged up. But you, the listener, I'm talking to you right now. You have so much to offer. You have more to offer your industry and your world and your patients and your people and your family than you realize. And it's time to stop being negative and move forward.
Amen.
Amen. So what do you think of the...
You launch your own podcast?
I just want to support the network and disappear behind that green curtain like the Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
So any last thoughts in the inaugural episode of the RX Buzz?
No, did I do okay? I mean, this is
You
good.
did awesome. Hey, if everybody thinks that Ashlee did a good job, I want you to tweet us at Pharmacy Podcast, hashtag RX. Hashtag RX Ashlee, and Ashlee is spelled ASHLEE. By the way, my daughter's name is Ashlee. It's spelled ASHLEY, and that's something that I actually didn't even tell you. But so the name Ashlee is special to me already. But hashtag RX Ashlee. If you like the show, if you think this is a good idea, if you want to be part of the show or participate.
Well, don't ask them if it's a good idea. We're already going to do it.
We're going to do it anyway. So, but we still want your feedback. So hashtag RX Ashlee, tweet us at Pharmacy Podcast. What other ways can the listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, just go to my website, rxashlee.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Follow me on Instagram, rx.ashlee. LinkedIn, all the different social media outlets.
You want to sing a song to close out the show or anything like that?
Let's all just be friends.
I don't even know the words to that. So You might have to lead.
No, that's one thing I don't do is sing.
So
I sing to my dogs and they die and they're like looking at me. Like, come on.
They're all staring.
Yeah.
Well, Ashlee, we're so excited to welcome you to the Pharmacy Podcast Network. This is going to be a super fun show. I'm looking forward to it. Anything that the network can do for you, let us know. But listeners, thank you so much for listening. Please share this. Please share the Rx Ashlee show, the Rx Buzz, and be ready for a fun time.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This was just the beginning. If this was your first time listening to the Rx Buzz, we welcome you and thank you for giving us a chance. And if you're an old friend, one of our subscribers, we cherish you and look forward to hearing from you. And now, we need your help. We ask that you share this podcast with just one person you know who's in the healthcare industry. If this podcast can help just one person, we believe it will have a chain reaction, having an impact on dozens, hundreds, thousands, and someday, millions of people. Thank you for your help. We truly appreciate you. And thank you for listening to the Rx Buzz, part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network.